if you watch porn before you're ever intimate, and your expectation is the average man has a 10-inch cock, the circumference of a beer can, and you thrust for 45 minutes, and right before you're ready to ejaculate, you get up, run across the room, and shoot your partner in the forehead with dead accuracy, you're going to be anxiety ridden, okay? So for me, when I lost my virginity at 15 years old, I think I lasted 37 seconds, and I thought I was a stallion. Basically thought, this is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. I want to make sure I have this feeling as many times as possible in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So I think that feeds right into this anxiety and unrealistic expectations, because what we see in porn are not average human beings.
Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non-monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Jeff Abraham is the CEO and co-founder of Promescent, a leading sexual wellness brand known for its patented delay spray designed to help men improve control and confidence in the bedroom. What started as a doctor-developed solution for premature ejaculation has grown into a global brand sold in thousands of retail stores and trusted by millions of customers worldwide. Jeff is passionate about breaking stigma around sexual health and building a modern science-based wellness company that focuses on intimacy, education, and real solutions. So, Jeff, I understand that your last longer line to help men with endurance was your first line. Talk to us a little bit about why did this company start and why that particular line as your first?
This company was founded, and the product, it's funny, we weren't actually a company. We were founded by a urologist, Dr. Ronald Gilbert in Newport Beach, California. He was the chief of urology at Hoag Hospital. So basically, he was in a situation where if people came with him with ED, this was in 2009, 2010, he had Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, Stendra. People came to him with incontinence issues. He had many different solutions. People came to him with prostate issues. He had many different solutions. People came to him with premature ejaculation. It was kind of, you're on your own. Okay, there were two ways that they treated it. One was Emla cream, which is prilocaine and lidocaine, which completely numbs you up, completely numbs your partner. You do last longer, but I tell people you might as well be taking aerobics or hot yoga or a spin class, because everybody's sweating and everybody's thrusting, but no one's climaxing. And I always thought the purpose of intimacy was to reach climax, right? And you weren't getting there. The other option was they would treat you with an SSRI. Are you familiar with SSRIs? Most people aren't, but so just for our listening audience, we'll break it down. SSRI is short for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. People go, I still don't know what that is.
Isn't that for depression?
That's depression drugs, Paxil, Prozac, they're all
They're like,
in
you must
that
be
category.
Depressed. That's why you're prematurely ejaculating.
Yes. Then you go, is it the chicken or the egg? Are you depressed because you're depressed, or you're depressed because you're premature ejaculating?
Both.
But those things do give you a higher IELT, which is interejaculatory latency time. So they do allow you to last longer.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the side effects are dry mouth, nausea, suicidal thoughts, and most importantly, they kill your libido. So it's like, well, I could last longer if I had any desire to be intimate, but I don't. So it's crazy. So I relate using an SSRI for PE like putting a candle out with a fire hose. It's a little bit of a heavy dose for something. So Ron said there has to be a better way. So he got together with a PhD in organic research chemist, and they developed Promescent. So what they do, it's a lidocaine-based product. But what it does is it changes the melting point of lidocaine. So it becomes oil aqueous as opposed to a solid. Lidocaine in its native form is a crystal. It's like a grain of salt. So it sits on your skin in 90% of all products that are lidocaine based. So they change it to oil aqueous. So when you apply it, it goes subdermal. It goes beneath the surface of the skin to the sensory nerves underneath. So the man maintains a higher degree of surface sensitivity, and the female doesn't have it transferred, doesn't feel anything. So it allows the man to have a higher degree of surface sensitivity, and it's undetectable to the female, so she doesn't get numb.
Okay, this is amazing, because that was my biggest concern. I was like, lidocaine, you're not going to feel anything. Why would you want this? You do, though.
It was brilliant. It works, and it was based on a lidocaine-based formula that was used in oral
Oh,
Surgeries. When you go to the dentist, before they put those big needles in, they
yeah.
hit you with this. That's what this is.
Okay. Amazing. And
So
you have it in a spray as well as in the wipes. Or the wipe. This is, I'm
yes,
assuming, a new addition, the wipes.
the wipes are a new addition. The wipes came about in 2021. Just to be very clear,
Hmm.
there's two types of PE. Okay. There is medicinal or medically based PE, which, according to the definition of the International Society of Sexual Medicine and the Sexual Medicine Society of North America, means you never ever last more than 90 seconds, whether it's through self play, whether it's through vaginal intercourse, whether it's through oral sex or whatever. So
Hmm.
that's the medical definition, that you never last more than 90 seconds ever in any type of sexual situation. But it would be foolish and just ridiculous to say someone in the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes or even 4 minutes can't benefit by having extended duration of intercourse. So there is the medical grade PE, and then there's the recreational aspect. The recreational aspect is actually a larger market than the medical
Yeah.
aspect because a lot of people are unaware of this. There's a medical term for it. Let's step out of the realm of premature ejaculation and just talk about the average male and the average healthy female.
Perfect.
The average healthy male lasts on average 5 minutes and 42 seconds, blended all the average healthy males together during intercourse. The average female takes 18 minutes of thrusting and penetration to achieve climax. That's why you have 7 trillion vibrators in the world. That's why guys stop, start, think about baseball scores. There's all these coping mechanisms, uh,
Grandmas. Yeah. I've heard them.
grandmas and naked grandmas. I'm like, Jesus, okay,
Oh,
that's a little bit
God.
severe. So there's all these different coping mechanisms
Hmm.
meant to bring men and women closer. So there's a higher possibility of both achieving climax during intercourse. So there's two distinct types. The people that have more severe PE and want to last a lot longer benefit more by the spray. It has a higher efficacy rate. The
Okay.
wipes are much more convenient, and they are much more geared to someone who lasts 5 to 6 to 7 minutes, who wants to last 11, 12, or 13 minutes.
Okay.
So we make that really clear on our website. One has a higher efficacy than the other. You're much better off if you have severe PE and you really want to last a lot longer than you do.
Okay.
So but we have people to buy both because when they're at home, they want this marathon session. They go, I have my Promescent spray in the drawer. They might be going to a club. They might be going, on a boat with their gal or whatever. They want that little packet because you don't have to carry a little bottle around with. Even though the bottle is really tiny, it fits in the change pocket of your jeans.
Yeah, it's
They would
tiny.
rather have that little wipe with them, because it's totally portable. It's really similar to that little wipe you use before you give yourself a shot. You take that little thing
Hmm.
out, so it's completely
Little
portable.
towelette.
Little towelette. That's actually, I forgot about that. That's the perfect term, the little
Yeah.
towelette. Yeah. So there's a distinct market for each one. And, but some people, that are in the 3 to 4 minute range, depending upon where they're at, will use one or the other. But it's
Okay.
a huge issue. People don't realize this.
No, I did not realize
Prema-
this.
yeah,
Wow.
premature ejaculation is more common than ED, if you can believe that.
Really?
And that freaks people out. In fact, I'll tell you
Yeah.
something that's mind blowing. 10 to 15% of ED is misdiagnosed PE. If a man
Really?
has chronic premature ejaculation, meaning he always has it and it's never waxes or wanes, he will eventually develop ED because his
Mm.
body realizes getting an erection leads to an unsatisfactory conclusion.
Mm.
We can say an equivalency is like stage fright, when you, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm not prepared. I can't go out on stage. I don't know my lines, kind of a thing. The mind and the body are so intertwined. And if the mind realizes that getting an erection leads to an unsatisfactory conclusion, you will eventually start developing anxiety related ED.
Okay.
So that's how big the market is. It's actually larger than the ED market.
But I'm assuming if you use, Promescent or something that enhances and allows you to have a longer erection, then some of that ED can go away. Some of the issues that at least are are mental, right? Like you're scared and you're nervous and you have tons of anxiety that you're going to lose your erection. I'm sure that can help bolster you up a bit.
Absolutely. Make no mistake about it. uh, Intimacy and especially men's sexuality is very closely tied to physical and mental performance. If
Mm-hmm.
someone is unsure of themselves, it creates anxiety. Anxiety and intimacy should be two completely separate emotions. They should never intersect. Anxiety kills intimacy. It's very hard to be free, and it's very hard to make love with reckless abandon when you're riddled with anxiety. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite. You want confidence, you want security, you want the ability to know you're going to be able to perform.
Jeez. Okay. So when you were talking about the timing of men in their 5 minutes and 40 seconds, I think I got that right. And women of
Yes.
their 18 minutes,
Yes.
we hear this term, the orgasm gap, a lot. I see a lot of men like roll their eyes about this, but this is a real problem. And so I'm curious if we could kind of talk about this a little bit and maybe even give some helpful information for if a couple is having this issue and men, it takes you you can hold your erection for 5.5 minutes on average if you're really lucky. And then your woman, it takes 18 minutes just to get her turned on and like lubed up and excited and mentally ready to go to have an orgasm. How is a couple supposed to make love with each other? Like, because for me, it's typically like, my husband is hard and I'm like, oh fuck, it's go time. Like we
Yeah.
gotta get going like quick because
Yes.
you don't want like I don't want him to start to have anxiety because it's gonna take him 18 minutes to get me ready. So I have like sort of short circuited and like tried to figure out how to quickly get turned on. But what
Yeah.
is the like, is there a playbook? I don't even know. Is there a playbook
There's no
for
playbook, but there's a reason. There's a
okay.
reason why there's 8 trillion vibrators in the world. And there's a reason why guys stop, start, think about baseball scores, all the things we talked about before. There's a reason why so many men go, I'm the master of cunnilingus. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so all these foreplay techniques and all of these are specifically done to bring a woman closer so that before the actual insertion, and
Mm.
missionary or whatever position you're in starts, that the woman is not going to take 18 minutes. So you want to, and that's funny,
Mm.
we helped develop that term, the arousal gap or the orgasm gap, along with Laura
Mm.
Berman back in
It's because
2012,
I've heard it on Sex with
2013.
Emily about 5,000 times now.
Yeah, yeah. And so that came out of our discussions in working with Laura, that
Yeah.
this orgasm, this arousal gap. So the idea is you don't have a lot of oral sex with the man because that brings him closer.
Right.
What you do is the focus is on a lot of times during foreplay is whether it be vibrators or digitally with your hands or with your mouth or whatever, that you're going to bring your partner a lot closer to climax to give you a much higher probability of her also having an orgasm or climax. But let's make one thing perfectly clear. Because of the positioning of the clitoris in the whole vaginal tract, there are some women who don't climax during intercourse.
Mm.
And we don't want to create unrealistic expectations because that increases the anxiety.
Hmm.
And if a man, I always tell people that for every good thing that technology and the internet does, it also has a negative effect. One of the things that I'm so glad, I'm 68, about to turn 69 very soon. I'm glad I was born when I was, and we didn't have cell phones, and I didn't watch porn before I had sex for the first time.
Hmm.
I would have been so anxiety ridden. If you watch porn before you're ever intimate, and your expectation is the average man has a 10-inch cock, the circumference of a beer can, and you thrust for 45 minutes, and right before you're ready to ejaculate, you get up, run across the room, and shoot your partner in the forehead with dead accuracy, you're going to be anxiety ridden. Okay. So for me, when I lost my virginity at 15 years old, I think I lasted 37 seconds and I thought I was a stallion. You know what I mean? And so I
Hmm.
didn't have these unrealistic expectations. I basically thought this is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. I want to make sure I have this feeling as many times as possible in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And we don't have that now. We have people that have watched porn
Mm.
prior to being intimate. So I think that feeds right into this anxiety and unrealistic expectations because what we see in porn are not average human beings. They
No.
don't have the normal body appendages that
Nor
most
do
people
you
do.
see the cut scene that they cut out that's like
They,
quick, give them more lube, pour the lube
Yes.
on there, like
Oh,
give them 20 more
everything is,
minutes to get
yeah,
hard
it's
again.
done and edited.
Yeah,
I
that
think
shit's not real.
one of the funniest things is one of our biggest supporters is Johnny Sins, who was
Yeah.
AVN's Male Porn Star of the Year in 2021, 2022.
Okay.
He, our headquarters is here in Las Vegas, in Summerlin, Nevada,
Mm.
and he lived here and he reached out and he really dispelled a lot of myths to me about porn actors. I thought they were all way out there and, just crazy. And he is a really thoughtful, intelligent,
Mhm.
normal guy. I remember one time it was Ryan Russ, who was my operations manager, my VP of marketing, and myself with Johnny sitting out on the lobby of True Foods Kitchen, and they have a patio. We're sitting out there having lunch, and because of what we do for a living, because of what he does for a living,
What
we're
you talk
yucking it
about?
up and laughing, and everything.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. He's like, "Oh, we should keep it down because people around us aren't, in the industry."
I
And
know.
I thought, "Oh my
You
God,
forget.
thoughtful, intelligent." You know what I mean? I
No.
thought porn stars walked around with their genitals on the outside of their pants and say, "I'm the biggest swinging dick in
Hmm.
planet Earth." It was so different meeting
Hmm.
him and seeing how thoughtful he was and how introspective he was and what an intelligent human being he was. It was really something, and I
Hmm.
developed a lot more respect. Uh, it's just what they do for a living is very different than what everyone else does for a living,
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
he had a relationship and he was explaining to us how he has sex on camera but he doesn't have intimacy on camera, that there's two completely separate parts of his life. It was a fascinating experience getting to know him, and we're still friends, and he still does things for us from time to time.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about Sex with Emily a few times. One of her other sponsors is Bellessa Porn,
Yes.
which is porn made for women, for women. If you're listening and you don't know what Bellessa is, and they have a bunch of, sex toys and other fun stuff too. But I have really enjoyed starting to follow some of their porn stars because they're the same. They're very, and they even within the porn will take a few minutes on some of the different styles, and you can see their conversation beforehand and kind of like where they're setting their limits and they're creating their scene and it's fascinating. And you're right. A lot of them are like married and they're like, this is what I do for work, but it's a totally different container when I go home. And when I go home, it's not normally quite as exciting as it is here sometimes on film. We just are normal people having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
There's
fascinating.
another site. Her name is Cindy. I forget her last name. It's called Make Love Not Porn.
Yes.
And they are all amateurs and they
Yeah,
submit to this platform and they get a percentage of the proceeds, that
I
kind of
love
stuff.
that.
And that's really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, cool.
So there's all kind of alternative porn sites out there. And I think most people when they're younger should watch normal people so
Yeah.
they don't have expectations that they are inadequate or they're not gifted enough to have what somehow is being presented as normal sex, which is anything but normal.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because no one watches an NBA game or an NFL game and thinks, hey, if I go out in my front yard, I'll be able to do a 360 windmill jam. You know what I mean? Or no one thinks they can go out in the front yard and throw a football 80 yards, like what you see NFL
Mm,
players do. But somehow we have porn, which a lot of people watch at a young age,
mm-hmm.
and well, at every age, to be honest with you,
Right.
and it becomes normalized that this somehow is how you should view sex. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not at
almost
all.
like they view it as an educational video instead of as
Yes.
as fun, like just
Yeah.
something to do. It's like TikTok. That
Yes,
shit's not real
exactly.
either.
That's not real life either. Exactly.
Okay, I want to bring us to the other. Our pendulum's gonna swing from one side to the
Okay.
other. We talked about how to last longer, and then we talked about having sex and how to kind of get your woman up to speed, which I think we can talk about the female products in a minute. But I wanted to talk about my favorite product that you guys sent, which is the Go Solo Self Play Lotion for Men. So we've talked a little bit about the orgasm gap. I love this new focus on self pleasure. And we're not just talking about self pleasure for women, which I think we've been talking about for a while. And we can never talk enough about that, but self pleasure for men. Um, And I have done several podcast episodes about kind of your king worship or cock worship, whatever you want to call it, and kind of what I do with my husband. So, would you tell us a little bit about this particular product and why you guys came up with it?
We came up with it because we're very, very entrenched in the urological community. Urologists in mass refer people to Promescent. We have over 4,000 urologists that we're aware of that refer their patients who want to last longer to Promescent.
Hmm.
We know that because the only way you get on that list, if someone buys our product and under referral source, they put this particular urologist and we add him to our
Hmm.
list. So we're very ingrained. We have a medical advisory board. We're really deeply ingrained. And we go to all the medical shows. And I had urologists start telling me that, especially after COVID, a lot of men, especially young men, aren't even dating anymore.
Hmm.
They think about this.
Yeah.
They order Uber Eats or Grubhub. They don't even go out to restaurants. Their meals are brought to them. They don't go shopping. You see an Amazon Prime package on their front porch every other or every third day. They're getting their mouthwash, razor blades, toothpaste, everything delivered. Their food delivered. A lot of people have tuned out, aren't even leaving the house. They want to work remote. They want their food brought. They want, all their supplies brought. They're not even dating anymore. The largest in the toy area, the largest growth is in male masturbatory products. And a lot of urologists told us that a lot of men are having chafing issues and everything because a lot of men are still ashamed about masturbation. And it's amazing how many people, even in healthy relationships, still masturbate. Okay. And it's a very positive thing, getting to know your own sexuality. But there's still a stigma about it. For women, it's almost glamorized. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my
My
God, what a turn
self-pleasure
on.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a voyeur. I freely admit it. A lot of times early on in a relationship, I will ask my partner to masturbate for me, and they'll like,
Hmm.
really? And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah. And I can tell right away how open a person is because if you're very comfortable with that, then you're obviously in tune with your own sexuality. Plus, for me, female bodies are completely different. There are some women that I've dated in my life that are like, don't touch me right around the clitoris. I'm very, very sensitive, just
Hmm.
right around the vulva, like, but no direct stimulation, that kind of stuff. There are other women that are like, I have a partially hooded clitoris. It's like I have trouble being stimulated. Get a cinder block, put sandpaper on it, and rub it. You know what I mean? It's like, so as a man, if you say, I have these series of moves, it turns every woman on, you're a loser because every woman is different. And you really need to learn about your partner and focus on your partner. With most men, the next man I meet who'll go, I don't like oral sex, will be number one. Okay. There's not a man on planet Earth that ever goes, I don't like someone going down on me. It's a question of how much you like it, not whether or not you like it, that kind of stuff. With men, the plumbing is on the outside. It's pretty self explanatory. With women, you really and truly need to know your partner. There are a lot of women that are very uncomfortable when the man goes down on them. And it's not because they don't feel pleasure. They're concerned about the taste, the smell, the whole thing.
Hmm.
So it takes time to really understand your partner if you're a man and you're in a regular heterosexual relationship. So I think it's extremely important to focus on learning your partner and really knowing how to please your partner. If you do that, I can tell you that you will also be pleasured. If a woman finds a guy that's really in tune and really and truly gets to know her and make sure she's satisfied, the last thing she's going to do is leave him unsatisfied. It's going to be, this guy's pretty funny. He makes a good living. He really takes care of me. I'm making sure he's happy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I always tell guys, by focusing on your partner, you're also making sure you're also going to receive pleasure. But a lot of men are very uncomfortable if a woman says to them, if you go, oh, I'd love to see you masturbate so I can really, instead of me fumbling around the next month learning what you like, if I watch you masturbate, I know exactly what turns you on. I know exactly how you like to be touched. But if a woman turns around and says to a man, I'd love to see you do the same thing. Are you kidding me? I'm not whacking off in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of men
Oh,
that are
really?
still
Because there's shame around it.
shame around it.
Okay. Tell
It's
me more.
a woman's masturbation is almost erotic. It's like, oh my
Hmm.
God, it's like so tantalizing. And there's so many movies and even so much porn about women masturbating.
Hmm.
There's not very many movies about a man masturbating. Okay, there's just not, because I don't know who would be watching. It's certainly no men, but I don't know how many women are turned on by that. But for whatever reason, and I have stumbled across some porn in my life,
Mhm.
doing research for my job, of course, So I'm joking there. So
No.
it's one of these things that men's masturbation has been kind of closeted. And a lot of
Mhm.
men, they don't take their time. Like a lot of women will be, let me draw a bath, let me create this
Mhm.
whole night around masturbation. Guys, like, let me hurry up and get this over with. I'm not celebrating this. And a lot of urologists have noticed that a lot of men have chafing and a lot of men are having desensitization of their penis because they're masturbating a lot without using any lube. So we set about to develop a product that would allow men to feel comfortable really planning and emphasizing that a masturbation session, that they were going to have a really good experience and not let me hurry up and get this over with.
Mhm.
And it's number one, meant so that you can protect your private parts, moisturize, and not, have blistering or sensations around your penis, number one. But number two, to enhance the actual experience so you'll have a greater degree of pleasure.
Mm. I just read not intended for an internal lubrication. So okay, I love everything that you've said. I'm going to go back to the beginning part, I think. You were right. So I'm bisexual. My husband and I are in an open relationship. This podcast is called the Open Bedroom Podcast. So I talk a lot about, being in a throuple and what's it like and dating and breaking up and sexual wellness and how to do aftercare and all that stuff. And you're exactly right. Like every woman is different in what she wants and doesn't want. And even as a woman going down on another woman, every single time I do, it's a new experience of going, do you like this? Do you not like this? And I do think with women that we're much more apt to give feedback to each other, like a little to the left, or like, could you do that a little faster? Or please
Women are so
penetrate me
much
with your
more
fingers.
Yes, women are so much more open in
We
terms
are.
of
We are.
communicating, but I
Women.
think they're
Mhm.
more communicative with each other, comparing their own
Yeah.
experiences, talking about sex.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as a woman, and I know this from podcasts that I do that are interactive, where people call in, a lot of women will talk much more openly to her friends and maybe a
Mhm.
female partner. The male ego is so fragile. A lot of women are very hesitant even to bring up things with their partner. God forbid you don't want to damage his fragile ego. I know when we first developed a lot of our toys, a lot of our vibrators, I was going to do some, videos on our site saying to men, please understand, a woman wanting a vibrator in your relationship is not in place of you. It's in addition to you.
Mhm.
It's not a threat to your sexuality. She's not going to go, oh, I like battery operated Bob better than I like you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That sometimes a bullet during actual intercourse is great, where you can directly stimulate the clitoris and give the woman either a more intense orgasm or a higher probability of having an orgasm.
Mhm.
So even though women all have vibrators, I always tell people there's two types of women: women that tell you they have a vibrator, and women have it hidden somewhere in their sock or underwear drawer where they just don't tell you, that kind of thing. And a lot of guys are very intimidated and they feel, if my partner has a vibrator or desires or suggests we bring it into the relationship, it's because I'm not man enough or I'm not doing my job. Leave the ego at the door. Realize that the best thing you can do as a partner is to give your partner the highest number and most intense orgasms as possible.
Yes.
Whether it's your finger, your mouth, your penis, a vibrator, whatever,
Yeah.
check the ego at the door. Just make sure she has as much pleasure as possible. That will give you as much pleasure as possible. Number one, seeing her receive the pleasure. Number two, her going, I'm not letting him go anywhere because he's very
Mhm.
open, very honest, and my needs are well satisfied and taken care of.
Yes, 1,000,000%. This story of my penis is supposed to be giving every orgasm, like, where did this story come from? And do you think that men just don't understand the anatomy of a woman and the clitoris and that almost no one is having, these G spot. I mean, I can, but I have to have about 15 orgasms before I can orgasm with my husband inside of me.
Yes.
But that's a lot of orgasms. And to even have that many, most women would say is insane.
Yeah.
So where is this story coming from? Is it porn? Is that what it is?
It's a lot
Because
of
your
it's
dad's not
porn.
talking to you about this, right?
No, no. My dad's continuing sex education for me was one time we were putting up Christmas lights and he was like, put the male end of that socket into the female end of the. I'm like, what? That was, I guess, his idea of the sex talk. I'm like, oh boy, Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
So I made sure that with my son that we were different, that I made sure he was prepared to go out into the world and make sure that he was careful and make sure that he was properly schooled in how to be, you know, a good lover and how to really please his partner, you know, that type of stuff. And
Yeah.
not, hey, put the female end of that into the male end of that. Oh, I guess that prong goes into that socket. You know what I
Don't make
mean?
any babies.
Don't make any babies while you're putting that male end of the socket into the female end of the socket with those Christmas lights out there. Uh, so I think it's important that we break down those stereotypes. That
I do
the
too.
only way to an orgasm is through intercourse, especially missionary style intercourse, because there's only like 30% of women that actually orgasm through that
Mm,
type. So be a complete lover, unlock the code before you decide, you know, what the best way to please your partner is. Understand her needs, her anatomy, her desires, her feelings about her own sexuality, and then tailor your approach to give her the highest uh, possibility of satisfaction. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Making sure each partner is satisfied.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I wanted to just talk about this for just a second. And I love that we talked about this gap of a lot of times it feels like, especially if you're having sex in the morning because your husband has got morning wood,
Yeah.
you don't have enough time to get ready, right? So
No.
we can talk about the female arousal stuff too in just a second because let's double tap on that. But what I like to do is have a designated night for each of us that it's the focus is on one person. And so what
Yes.
we did with this Go Solo play was I was like, I'm just going to pleasure you. Like, let's play with this. I want you to just lay back and just let me use this on you and let's see how we feel about it. And I don't know if you guys can see. I'm gonna like drizzle it so you can kind of see what it looks like when it comes out, but it's white and it's got this really nice kind of slick but moisturizing feeling that I have no idea exactly how long it lasts because we started playing with it and then we started getting kind of frisky. But you could do a really nice hand job with this, especially if your man isn't turned on too, and just kind of start the process there. And for me, whenever I start that way, I always get super turned on and then it always leads to sex. But it's really nice. You could almost use it like as a massage oil as well, like
It
not just on
absolutely
your
can be used as a
cock.
massage oil. A lot of lubes, especially any silicone-based lube, and even
Mhm.
some of the water-based lubes that are a little thicker, they tend to kind of wad up after a period of
Yeah,
time, and
they get sticky and
they get
gross.
sticky. This is
This is
silky smooth,
nice.
and it
Hmm.
lasts about 20 to 25 minutes.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
and a lot of
Glad
lubes
you've
dry
timed that,
out.
by the way.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of lubes will dry out and you have to
Yeah.
constantly reapply.
Yes.
This was made specifically for male self play and it's
Hmm.
extremely effective and it's really begun to grow. It's a lot of people are finding it and the repeat business on it is insane. That's when you know you have a good product. When
Yeah.
it starts slow and then you start seeing more business, you go, whoa, are we attracting a lot more customers? You go, well, A, we're attracting more customers, but B, people that bought it 2 months ago are now rebuying it a second and a
Nice.
third
Because
time.
they're using it a lot.
They're
This is
using it a lot
fantastic.
and they're going, I like this. I wish that there wasn't a need for so much solo play because a lot of younger people are starting to date and get out and
Hmm.
have partners. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
I know.
This phenomenon is growing.
I know.
And, you know, the
Globally.
idea that, you know, restaurants are down, there's so many restaurants that report, you know, their revenues are down. And one of the things that people don't realize is when there's a service, whether it's Grubhub or Uber Eats, that comes and picks up the food. I know the one place that I go to quite frequently, there's a line of Uber
Hmm.
Eats and
There's nobody in the
Grubhub and
restaurant.
yeah, there's like 40 people in the restaurant. And there's like 50, 60 meals an hour being
I
delivered.
know.
People don't realize this, but they make a lot less on those because they take
Mm,
such a huge percentage. You pay more. There's a fee for delivery. You have to tip the driver.
yeah.
But out of every $20 order, if you were ordering it in there that the restaurant would get, they're getting 14 or whatever from, so
Mm,
their profitability is down. And some of you see how many malls now have vacancies and how many strip malls have literally half the places going out of business because people don't go there to buy anything anymore. They just order everything online,
online.
mainly through
Hmm.
Amazon. As a society, we need to make sure that our young people realize it's okay to have conversations. Everything doesn't have to be through texting.
Hmm.
There's you lose the intimacy, you lose the just the context of conversation when it's all text, when it's all dry and just words on a iPhone.
Hmm.
It's okay to go have a meal and have conversations and meet new people. It's okay to go shopping, and buy your pants in a store instead of ordering all three sizes. Go, the one that fits, I'll keep. I'll just send the other two back. And you have these delivery trucks all over the place driving around because of so many returns. As a society, I think it's similar to our sexuality.
Hmm.
We're disengaging and everything is compartmentalized. I don't need anyone except myself. Even stepping out of the sexuality part of it, I think human touch is a very important part of our lives.
Hmm.
Just feeling wanted, just feeling love, sexual and non sexual. And we're moving away from that. And that's not a good thing. That's why there's so much ang- anxiety and tension and I think hatred and divisiveness in the world because
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are missing that. And we need to start bringing that back in a huge way.
Bring sex back.
Yes, intimacy and sex.
Intimacy and sex, I agree. If I see one more looking for friends with benefits on dating profiles, I'm going to vomit. Like we just
It's
did a podcast episode about this because my husband and I just broke up with our last girlfriend. Well, she broke up with us, truthfully,
okay.
because we wanted more. We were like, "You are everything we've been looking for, and we would love to have some space and time with you to really develop this thing that we're creating." We can see a future with you. And she was just like, eject. Oh my God, I just want to be friends with benefits. So I think that trend hopefully ends soon. I don't know.
Friends with benefits to me, especially at my age, is almost like having a blow up doll. There's
Exactly.
no real intimacy. There's no anything. It's like, okay, come over. Let's get this over with. You know what I mean? Like, let's just both have this mind blowing orgasm and move on.
Hmm.
When you start developing a chemistry, when you start developing an interest in getting to know more,
Hmm.
I've always looked at that as a positive thing, not abort. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, no, let's not go there. That, I have to admit, when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, all I wanted was as many intense orgasms as possible. That was my goal. Let me see how many of these I can have.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, back then, I always thought it was unlimited number. You know what I mean? Oh my God, this is great. And then especially as a male, you're not capable of having 20 orgasms a night, especially at my age, 68. Generally, one good one is all you're going to get. Maybe on your birthday or Christmas is two. But you begin to treasure each one a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you begin to realize that they're really better if you actually don't have to sleep with one eye open. And you're not like, okay, we're done. Get out of my bed. You know what I mean? I'll change the sheets
Million
and go to bed, but
percent.
you know, you begin to realize and cherish more of the entire concept, the entire process, where you really love to have interface with the person prior. You really love the idea that you wake up next to the person in the morning, and like you say, with morning wood and go, hey, round two, that kind of thing.
Yes. Or
And
2 in the morning and you just
you
wake up and do it.
yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. But you also love going to brunch the next morning.
Exactly.
You love the idea of saying, hey, let's go to the movies. Let's go work out. Let's go get a couple's massage. And
Hmm.
that it's not just the intimacy. The intimacy is certainly still there and a part of it, but you begin to relish and just cherish the whole process.
You know what I'm enjoying? So we've been together for 4.5 years. We just got married last November. So right now we're kind of in that like honeymoon. I'm like husband, it's like super sexy still.
I
And
love it.
what I'm loving 4.5 years in with Scott is we're still finding new sex positions
Yes.
and new moves. He's like doing this like rotating helicopter thing while he's inside me lately, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, we have discovered like side laying sex, but then I'll like open up and then I'm on my back and then I can pull my legs up. I can do like a cheerleader herky. I can do all kinds of crazy shit with my legs. I can close up really tight around him. Like all this stuff we could have been doing for 4.5 years, but it's that like the onion, right? You just keep peeling back
That's
layer and
really
this
good.
safety to fully express and like I'm loud and vocal and like guttural and making all these crazy noises and like freaking like your chakras are all open and you're just like like it's
But
amazing to feel
do
that, and
you,
you can't do that when you're having a one night stand with
that's
somebody.
exactly what I was going to say. Don't you feel that some of that is
Safety
you feel safety
and
and
intimacy.
confident and
Hmm.
you feel non-judged and you
Totally.
feel like I can be whoever I want to be and this guy's not going to go, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? You know what I
Oh, he
mean?
loves
Like,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, as a man, I can tell you when you're with a woman and she feels uninhibited and she just feels guttural and
Hmm.
you feel powerful.
Hmm.
You feel like that's me giving her that pleasure.
Hmm.
That is me allowing her to express herself.
Yeah.
And it's physical, but it's also emotional that she doesn't feel judged. She doesn't feel intimidated.
Hmm.
She doesn't feel afraid.
Hmm.
She feels totally secure and totally confident. And isn't that what we should be doing to one another?
Hmm.
Is don't judge. Don't have someone feel like they're going to look at you and go, what? Wait, whoa, whoa, what's that? Where'd you learn that? That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's, you guys, I think it's not like you should look at it as, wow, we didn't have 4 years. We could have been doing this. Look at it. This is the natural evolution as we
Yeah.
become bonded, we become closer, we become in sync and totally comfortable with one another. So there's no judgment. There's no guilt. There's no shame. There's no, oh my God, what if we do this? All of a sudden things shut down and you go, whoa, that kind of a thing.
Hmm.
It means that you are growing together now. You guys are very comfortable that this isn't a transient thing. This isn't like it's going to last a year or two and then blow out. And the last thing I want to do is short circuit that. I think you guys realize now that you're going to be a couple for quite a while. And there is no reason not to have full enjoyment and full expression.
Yes. Yes. And you don't get that especially with women, like on the first 10 times. Come on. Maybe
Oh,
when you hit 100,
yes.
she might squeal a little.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was telling you that as a man, you have to make your woman feel comfortable. You have to have this judgment-free zone. And
Hmm.
that's why early on, if you say, I want you to masturbate for me, and
Yes.
90% of the time, no one's going to go, yeah, let me, sometimes they're open to it, but they want you to explain why. And when you
Mhm.
say, I want to know everything about you, I want to know how to best please you, I'll eventually learn, but why waste 2 months? You know what I mean? Knowing, oh
Mhm.
my God, there's nothing worse as a man when a woman goes 3 months into, that really makes me feel uncomfortable. I go, well, we've done it 90 times. It took you till now to say
Exactly.
it. Wouldn't it have
Hmm.
been better if you would have told me that the very first time? Give me enough credit that I'm not this egocentric person that you telling me that whatever I'm doing isn't the best thing that ever happened to you because I've never been with you before. I don't know you. I don't know your body. I don't know what feels good. I don't know what doesn't feel good. So help me help you. It sounds like that Jerry Maguire line. Remember the
True.
movie? Yeah.
Hmm.
Help me help you. You know what I mean? Give
Help me
me.
help you help me. That
Yes,
also helps you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there's so much permission, I think, in those first like 3 to 5 sessions with someone where going like, I really want to learn your body and I want
Yes.
you to give me feedback and I want to watch you masturbate. I want to watch how you touch yourself. Like even
Yes.
for women with men, like I have my husband, I'll be like, when you masturbate the next time, would you like take a video? And I want to see all of it. Like, I want to see till you end. Like, I want to
Yeah,
see how you move. And you just start watching their hand motions. And a lot of men have a very particular way of stroking that
absolutely.
you can learn.
Yes.
I spent so many years, my husband going, "You're just not doing it right." And I was like, "I don't fucking know how to do this for you then." And I
Yeah.
finally was like, "Send me a video. Like, let me study you. Like, I would study something that's really important to me, like how to make sourdough bread or how to raise
Yeah.
chickens. Like, I want to know how to touch you so
Yeah.
well that it works for you." And yeah, it's so yummy. Anyway, back to self play. Y'all get some of this stuff. It is really good. Okay, can we talk about female arousal? Because we
Yes.
kind of bumped back and forth. And if you're like
Yes.
me and you're waking up at, 5 or 6 a.m. and your husband's cock is hard and it's in your back and you're like, yay, here we go. How do you get yourself, go, going? And I think for me, and I don't know that this is right or not, because I listen to a lot of lesbians. I have a lot of lesbian friends, and they're always like, don't do anything till like the cervix is elongated and she's super juicy. Her body will tell you when she's ready. When you have a penis that's hard, like the clock is ticking. At least that's how I feel.
Oh,
So I'm like,
absolutely.
let's do this. And then eventually
Yes.
my body will catch up with you. But I want it to feel good too. Maybe I'm not
Yeah.
100% ready. So, like, tell me about all these arousal gels or
There's two different ones. There's a
buzzing,
buzzing and a warming.
warming. Okay.
Okay. And it's because women have body types. A
Mm,
woman who is insensitive and takes a ton of stimulation would use the buzzing because
okay.
it's stronger.
Okay.
A woman who is very sensitive, who just loves a warming sensation,
Mm, that's
uses
me.
the warming,
Okay.
but they both have the same effect, which is to increase blood flow into the vulva and into the clitoris, which number one increases moisturizing, and number two gives you a more intense feeling and increases your libido. When
Mm,
you have blood, whether it's a man into his penis or a woman having additional blood flow into the vulva and the clitoris, it's basically telling your mind this is a sexual time. We're getting ready for intimacy. And it heightens arousal and increases blood flow, which obviously engorges the area if you're a man and gives you an erection, a much harder erection. For a female, it starts the juices flowing, it starts moisturizing, your body starts sensing that there's going to be a sexual component to that immediate time frame in front of you. So
let's
it
go.
helps cut down that time, that arousal gap. That's another way to cut down on it
Okay.
is use these female arousal gels. There was a podcast I did called Two Wild Orchids. They were two females. They were both partners and they tried all the products and they lost their mind over the warming gel. And I remember it was either the
Mm.
second or third time I was doing their podcast, and one of them says to me, "What am I wearing?" And they were sitting at a desk. And I said, "You have on a tan blazer and a blue blouse." "No, no, what am I wearing below?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I can't see. I said, "Are you
Are you going
butt
to show
naked
me?
under, whatever?" And she starts laughing. She goes, "No, I'm wearing female arousal gel." And I go,
Ooh.
"What?" She goes, "One of the things that I've incorporated now is in the morning, right before I leave and I come to work, I give myself a little dab of female arousal gel." And she said, "The whole morning, I am just aroused and I'm really and truly feeling sensual and sexual." She goes, "At lunchtime, I give myself another dab." And she goes, "By the time I come home at 5 o'clock, I feel like I've had 8 hours of foreplay and I'm ready to go. And I just feel this entire sensual part of my being that's been on alert for 8 hours, 8.5 hours."
Mhm.
She goes, "We make love a lot of times, even before dinner, because I've had this 8 hour session of arousal." I'm like, "Oh my God." And I started laughing. I said,
Yummy.
"That's the difference between men and women." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "If there was a guy and he rubbed something on his penis and he had that feeling of arousal, he would immediately go into the restroom and go into the stall and relieve himself
Hmm.
because men have that instant, microwave, instantaneous. I need it right now. I feel it because I think a lot of men go, I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm going to feel this great pleasure right now. Women, instead of having that microwave, have more of that crock pot. Let this simmer. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's only going to get better
Yeah.
if I let it marinate 8, 9, 10 hours. And that's that whole arousal gap thing that we talk about. Women are very comfortable. And that's why I tell a lot of our uh, male customers and stuff. And when I do a lot of these podcasts and radio shows, I'll tell a lot of men, you really, because men's biggest complaint, especially in long-term relationships and marriages, is my wife no longer wants sex as much as I do. And
Hmm.
they look at it, they're blaming her. I go, did you ever think it might have a lot to do with you? You know, that you basically come home and go, assume the position. That's your idea of foreplay.
Yuck.
Brace yourself, you know.
Yeah. Ew.
I said, from early in the morning, send a text. Can't wait
Hmm.
till this evening. Really can't wait to see you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And start setting the mood. Start really getting them anticipating it. Everyone loves to feel desired. Everyone loves to feel like my partner desires me and
Hmm.
I please my partner. And if you feel comfortable giving that vibe out, you'll also receive it. Because a lot of times, if you're not giving it out and you're cold and you're distant, and then you come home, you got all the work stuff on your mind. It's like, oh my God, I got to do dinner, got to put the kids to bed. And then it's like, okay, let's get this over with, kind of a thing.
Hmm.
You have to create the expectation. This is something to savor. This is something to embellish and to just make it as delicious and delectable as possible, and not just something that's a robotic function that you're getting over, you know,
Yeah.
and let's each have our orgasm. I would say that almost everyone I've ever talked to says the longer the buildup, the stronger the finish. The more foreplay, the longer that you have that thought process and that physical, response and the more you think about it, the stronger that your orgasm is going to be because it's a buildup over a period of time, just not flatline, boom, and then over with. It's
Hmm.
like when you climb a mountain one step at a time. Sometimes the view for the top is really spectacular because you know that you had to get all the way up there and all the work you put into it and the amount of time you were savoring, as opposed to someone putting you in a helicopter, just dropping you on top and go look at the view, then picking you right up and taking you back down. You didn't have time to go, wow, this is really going to be spectacular. Oh my God, I got a little peak over here. This looks really good. And by the time you get to the top, you've earned it and you've thought about it and you've relished it and you're just in your glory looking at this beautiful scene that you went up the hill to see, as opposed to you just kind of got dropped down there, looked at it, and then went right back down to the bottom again, you know?
Million percent. And I think
Yeah.
men crave engagement, right? Like they
Oh,
want their
absolutely.
partners to be excited about fucking them. And if
Yes.
not, the other alternative is you're using your woman as your, masturbation sleeve. And that's fucking
Yes.
gross. And
That's
nobody
gross.
wants to be that.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to be craved and I want my partner to have intentionality. So I've said this a few times on the podcast. Scott's super intentional about having sex with me. We're on this like every other day schedule, which makes me very happy because I need to know when it's going to happen again. But he'll come to bed like completely naked. And then I know, like, okay, when I wake up in the morning, it's going to happen. And he's like really intentionally thinking about it. He's maybe looking at some videos that we made the night before. He's getting his mind and his body ready to make love with me the next morning.
That's nice.
So much fun. Will you close out by talking to us about cock rings?
Yes.
I'm curious about the percentage of men that actually use cock rings and then adding this vibrating feature on. I actually don't use them and we haven't used this yet, but I promise that we will. Mostly just because I'm like, will it actually make it even better? Like, why? And so yeah, just talk to me about cock rings.
Cock ring has a number of functions. The vibration is both for the female, because if you position it correctly, it will hit the clitoris
Hmm.
and it will vibrate, which is never a bad thing.
Right.
Okay. It has many different settings. So you can go from mild to obviously
Intense.
jackhammer status. it also allows a man to achieve a lot more rigidity
Okay.
because one of the things it does, especially as men get older, you have trouble maintaining the really strong erection that you had when you were 18 or 20. So
Hmm.
what it does is once you put it on, it keeps the penis more erect because it constricts and then keeps all the blood from flowing back into the body.
Mm.
Most important thing, the vibration for men is a turn on.
Mm.
And it also,
I never thought about that.
oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's
But it
good. Okay.
also helps a woman climax that might not normally climax during intercourse because it's direct stimulation, vibrating stimulation on the clitoris and the vulva.
Yeah, and I noticed that there's a good solid like inch of height from where the
Yes.
penis is, which I'm sure is very intentional to actually hit
Oh,
the
it's
clitoris when you're
specifically intentional to have the highest probability of hitting the clitoris. Absolutely.
fantastic. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. This has been, I mean, so stimulating. Like not just a conversation around sex enhancements, but you gave us a lot of wisdom. And
I've been doing this for 15 years now,
oh,
and I've been running the company. And I have been introduced at a couple conferences I was giving a speech at, and
mm,
one of the gentlemen, it was a California-based conference for urologists. He said, "This might be the most learned person on planet Earth about premature ejaculation." And before I start speaking, I said, just a little aside, I said, if I happen to get killed in a car wreck on the way home, I don't want on my epitaph to say this is a guy who knew more about premature. Put a little asterisk and explain I ran the company.
yeah.
A lot of urologists are very learned in premature ejaculation, but they only spend 10% of their day because they do prostate issues, incontinence issues, ED issues, PE issues. All I do all day, every day is talk to customers who buy our products, talk to people that are calling our hotline and asking questions, talking to urologists, talking to therapists. So I have a singular focus, which is really, truly about lasting longer. And one of the things that is heartbreaking is it's been the subject of comedian jokes and internet memes. And sometimes people think that men who rapidly or premature ejaculate are insensitive, don't care about their partners, they're selfish. There's nothing further than the truth.
Mhm.
People that suffer from PE want nothing more than to satisfy their partners. They want nothing more. And sometimes there people will actually say, oh, if you prematurely or rapidly ejaculate, it's because you don't have mental strength. Oh, you're not strong enough mentally to. That's laughable,
Mm.
and sometimes people think, oh, it's a, you're weak mentally. And, there are physiological reasons why a man rapidly or prematurely ejaculates, not limited to, but including hypersensitivity to penile nerves, low testosterone, prostatitis. There's a lot of physical reasons. There's nothing your mind is going to do. Like every illness, there's 20% of people that probably have a psychosis. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they started masturbating and now can't relate to actual physical contact, and the only way they get off. Now that's a totally different thing, but that's in the minority. The majority of people who suffer from PE have physiological reasons. So I tell people there should be no shame about this. If a diabetic takes insulin for diabetes, is there shame around it?
Mhm.
No, of course not. If a cancer patient takes chemo for cancer. Is there shame about? No. You have a physical abnormality. You're doing something to help correct that. So why are we so uptight about premature ejaculation? Why? Oh my God, I can't admit that I have PE. There's something wrong with me mentally. I'm not strong. No, you have hypersensitivity to penile nerves. You have prostatitis. You have low testosterone. All these things. There's certain ethnicities that have much higher levels of PE. It's insane. And I remember when I first took over the company, I'm like, we're not targeting one specific demographic. Why are 40% of our people? But a lot of urologists and therapists I've gone to, and they're like, oh, yeah, everyone knows that. I go, why is anyone talking about it?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, we don't want to put the stigma. I go, it's fact. We
Mhm.
need to be able to talk about it. And there's this nature versus nurture. Is it like because the ethnicities that have a higher incident of PEs generally have larger families, they're on the lower socioeconomic scale. So it's like from the time they start feeling sexual arousal in their teens and they start masturbating, it's like, oh, my parents went to the market. Let me hurry up and get this over with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they start dating, and instead of, go getting a hotel or having privacy, they're in their partner just go somewhere, they're in the car, they hope they don't get caught. And it's
Hmm.
almost like the man is training himself.
Hmm.
But then there's another school of thought where a lot of urologists and therapists think that maybe certain ethnicities have a higher level of serotonin. And that's why the serotonin reuptake inhibitors work. Maybe certain ethnicities have different levels of ethnicity. But make no mistake about it, there are certain ethnicities that have really high levels of PE, abnormal, like 3 times other ethnicities.
Wow.
So it's really crazy when you really get into this. It's fascinating.
Like, are you going to tell us what it is?
Oh, I will. It's the Hispanic community
Uh-huh.
and the Indian community, not American Indians like people from India.
Yeah.
Uh, 50% of our traffic to our website is from India.
Wow.
And,
Amazing.
a lot of people think it might be related too, because those are two very high levels of where they're not circumcised. So
Hmm.
maybe the fact that if you're not circumcised in the head of the penis, because the frenulum, which is the underside of the head of the penis,
Mhm.
is where a lot of the nerves are for ejaculatory thing. And maybe if that's hidden, it's more sensitive. You know what I mean? Because it
But what
doesn't
about the
seem.
rest of Europe, right?
Rest of Europe, no, those
None of
those are
them are
the two.
circumcised, right?
Yes. So those are the two ethnicities with abnormally high levels of PE. But
Interesting.
I've often felt that the best thing you can do is about PE in general is to let most men know you're not alone. This is a very common
Mhm.
problem. Don't feel like it's just me. There's a lot of people that have issues. And the best thing you can do is not withdraw and stay at home and, don't date and intimidate it. Seek solutions, seek answers, seek the best way to have intimacy.
Okay, if you have just 2 more minutes, I want to riff on this for a second because it feels like, especially as a woman, and if this is your partner, that you could play with this and kind of make it part of your sex life in sort of a sexy, fun way. So if you know that your partner has PE, why don't you just kind of let that be a part of like the buildup for you so I'm just imagining, maybe this is
No, go
crazy.
ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm imagining if this is my partner, then I'm like, sweet, the first 10 minutes, like I want you to like come on my titties. Like do something that just makes me feel like dirty and fun. And
Yeah.
then we'll play with me. And then maybe we'll come back to you and do something else. Maybe I'll give you a full body massage or like there's some ways to play with this where it doesn't have to be a big deal. It could be, part of a sexy, dirty vibe. It could be,
Yeah. Take away the shame. Take away, oh my God, the anxiety.
yeah.
Lean into it.
Because I'm imagining for them, they're like, oh my God, I got to somehow last 20 minutes. And how am I going to do that? And then I got to get inside of her and then I can't come. And then I go, oh, like, I can't even imagine what goes on in your head. That's really
I've often
stressful.
told a lot of men that I talk to that have PE, and I will say to them, make sure that you give your partner an orgasm before you start on you.
Mm,
That way it drops the anxiety already. You don't have to, in your mind, going, oh my God, she's not going to achieve climax, she's not going to have orgasm. That's
hmm.
already gone. So that helps take the temperature down. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Whether it's with a vibrator, digitally, orally, whatever, give her an orgasm before you even get to the point. So in your mind, you lose the, oh my God, she's not going to orgasm. She's already orgasmed once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's now a question of how many times. Whenever I do interactive podcasts or serious radio shows, when there's call in,
Hmm.
50% of the people that call in are female.
Hmm.
50%. When the topic is premature ejaculation, not some of our female products.
Hmm.
And I always tell the host, I go, when a woman calls in, I already know the question.
Yeah.
And they'll go, how do you know the question? I go, it'll always be, we need this in our relationship. How do I bring it up without freaking out my partner, making him angry or withdrawn
Mm.
or ashamed? And I have a pat answer. And this is maybe one of the things to do if you know your partner has PE.
Okay.
Create a 50 Shades of Gray night. Say, we want to get a feather duster and, a riding crop and a blindfold,
Yeah.
and then put promescent in with all these other things. Because that takes away the, oh my God, you're not lasting long enough. Oh my God,
That's a
you're
great
deficient.
idea.
It literally puts this mindset. We're going to have this fantasy night, and I want to make sure it lasts as long as possible.
Hmm.
When your man finds that control. And all of a sudden he goes, I lose the idea of can I give her an orgasm to how many do I want her to have before we finish our session.
Yeah.
It literally will be the last time you ever have to tell them to use a product like Promescent. Men
They'll
love
reach for it.
control. They will reach for it. Think about this. If you see a man and a woman going out to dinner, or you see two couples going out to dinner, how often do you see a woman driving? 1% of the time. It's generally because the guy lost his license, you know what I mean? And he had a DUI or whatever. If you go over your friend's house and there's a couple sitting there watching TV, who has the remote? The guy. Guys love control.
Okay.
You've been conditioned from the time you were a young male by your dad and certainly even sometimes your mom. It's up to you. You're the provider. You're in control. You are the master of the universe. You're the captain of the ship. And there are a lot of women that feel very comfortable being protected by their man, that they want a man to take the lead. They certainly want to be viewed as an equal. They should be viewed as an equal in every respect. But you know, if you're going down the street and some masked intruder jumps out from behind a corner, you would love your man to jump in front of his woman and go, I'm bigger and stronger. I'm the protector.
Yeah.
It's just our societal norm, okay? That guys are taught that you're in control. If you give a guy that control when it used to be non-control and he used to be full of anxiety about worrying about ejaculating too fast, you will never have to give him that again. He will make sure he has it so he can have that control, so he can feel like he is the one in the lead.
That's awesome. What a great place to end. I hope you guys feel empowered. Jeff, thank you for coming on and giving us so much of your time and all of this wisdom that we can walk away from. I will put a link in the notes below to Promescent. You guys get on there and try a product or two and see if it doesn't up level your sex life a little bit.
The pleasure is all ours. I will tell you that this is our lifeblood. You know, people go, oh, why don't you run these ads? Ads all look the same. Even if you have a product that doesn't work, even if a product's ineffective, they can make an effective ad. But when someone hears the story, when someone knows we were developed through science by a urologist, that there's patents behind this, that there's a thought process behind this, all of our products have a 60-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. We want you to feel, and we're not one of these sites where you order it, next thing you know, 30 days later it comes again. You didn't uncheck some box, you know what I mean? So you're on some continuity program. We don't want anyone to ever buy this product unless you're doing it intentionally. One of the things we do, this product is the #1 best-selling product on Amazon, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
We're in Walmart, we're in Target, we're in CVS, we're in HEB, we're in Wegmans, we're in Meijer, we're in all these stores. We have our own robust website, but I always tell people, start at promescent.com for this reason. #1, we want you to buy the right product for the right reason. So we want you to do your research. There's all kind of blogs and there's all kind of doctor testimonials that tell you about the products. So #1, we want you to buy the right product for the right reason. #2, we want you to use it correctly. There's tutorials where they actually show you how to use the product and dose it correctly. Once you do that and you educate yourself, we don't care where you buy it. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it at retail. You can buy it on our website. But we want you to buy the right product and use it correctly so you'll have the highest probability of success. That's how we've grown every year. More people discover us, but more importantly, people come back over and over again and buy the product.
Awesome. Beautiful.
So start at promescent.com. Educate yourself to learn. And if you want to get it on Amazon, go there. If you want to get it at retail, put in your zip code and it'll tell you. You know, there's no one in the United States that's more than 20, 25 miles away from. Most people are a mile away because of CVS and Target and Walmart and all the retail partners we have. So it's readily available. But buy the right product for the right reason and use it correctly so you'll have the highest probability of success.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.